Hey everyone, welcome back to Revenge Stories Number 4, where the quietest voices often carry the deepest truth. Tonight's story is about a woman who was mocked by her own family, humiliated in front of her son, and still walked out with her dignity intact. It's a story of restraint, quiet revenge, and the rare moment when someone chooses to speak up not for credit, but for justice. Stay with us until the very end, because this isn't just drama. It's a powerful lesson, a reckoning, and maybe a mirror for someone watching. Hey guys, tonight we witness a betrayal so public, so cruel, it could have broken anyone. It starts with an envelope, pale blue, thin paper, cheap ink. You hold it between two fingers like it might burn. It's the wedding invitation. Your little sister Emily's getting married. You stare at the RSVP card. There it is, your name, misspelled. Again, it's not the first time, probably not the last, but it still stings. Not the mistake. The message behind it, you're not seeing clearly here. You set the card down next to the chipped mug on your counter. Nathan, your son, is humming quietly as he draws on the floor with half-broken crayons. You say nothing. You don't sigh. You just stare at the envelope, as if it might rewrite itself if you wait long enough. There's no personal note. No, we hope you can make it. No, looking forward to seeing you. Just a time, a date, and a location you can't afford the gas for. And yet, you decide to go. Why, even now, you can't quite answer. Maybe to prove something, maybe to finally let go, maybe to say goodbye to this idea of family you've been carrying around like an heirloom with a crack running through the center. You pick up the little box you'd hidden in the back of your dresser. Inside a silver chain, not flashy, just delicate. It belonged to your mother. She never wore it after Emily was born. You had to patch the clasp last month. You were planning to give it to Emily on her wedding day. You almost laugh. Almost. How poetic, you think. To give someone the one thing they never asked for. Nathan walks up holding his drawing. Is this what the wedding looks like, Mama? You look at the picture. He's drawn a castle, you and him on one side, Emily and her groom on the other. There's a rainbow over both halves, meeting in the middle. You nod. It's beautiful, you whisper. You don't tell him that real weddings don't usually come with rainbows or safe places for people like you. You spend the next 2 days scouring discount racks for a dress. You rent shoes that pinch. You redo your own hair with trembling hands and a cracked mirror. You iron Nathan's tiny suit twice, even though he tells you he doesn't care about wrinkles. He wants to look good. He says maybe Grandma will smile at us this time. You don't correct him. You let him hope he deserves that much. As you zip your bag and tuck the silver necklace carefully into its box, you whisper to yourself, just get through the day, then let it go. You don't know that this day won't ask you to let go. It will ask you to choose dignity or silence. And when the moment comes, you won't be ready, but you'll rise anyway. And someone you never expected will rise with you. Happy wedding day. Let the reckoning begin. You arrive 5 minutes early, not on purpose. You just didn't want to be late. Nathan's hair is slicked back, his little bow tie slightly crooked. You fix it with a quick swipe of your thumb before he opens the door. Are we late, Mama? No, sweetie. We're just early enough. You step into the venue and feel it instantly, that cold, invisible wall. You're not underdressed, not really, but everything around you seems to whisper, you don't belong here. The room is exquisite. White roses bloom from crystal vases. Candles flicker in gold holders. The carpet is so thick Nathan's shoes make no sound as he walks beside you. In the distance, a string quartet plays something elegant and forgettable. You pause near the entrance. There's no welcome table, no one to greet you, just a sea of people you haven't seen in years, and most of them never looked you in the eye even back then. You scan for someone, anyone familiar, then you hear it. Oh, you made it. Emily. She looks like she's stepped out of a bridal magazine, soft curls pinned perfectly, silk veil cascading down her back, a glow on her skin you suspect was purchased. Her smile is just wide enough to qualify as polite. Not quite warm, not quite fake. Of course, you say, wouldn't miss it. She glances down at Nathan. He's gotten big, she says, like she's talking about someone else's pet. Then she's already turned and swept back into her crowd of bridesmaids and matching laughter. You're left standing by the coat check holding Nathan's hand. You try not to read into it. Not yet. You find your name on the seating chart. Table 9 and it's near the restrooms. You walk through rows of round tables covered in ivory linens adorned with silver place cards, and embossed napkins passing happy clinks of champagne flutes and laughter like distant bells. When you finally reach your spot, it's next to a column that blocks the view of the dance floor. Nathan whispers, "Can we still see Aunt Emily get married from here?" "Yeah, sort of," you reply, and adjust his chair so he can at least see her veil when she walks past. Linda, your mother, walks by not long after. Her hair is styled into the kind of updo that takes a stylist and a lot of money. She doesn't stop, doesn't glance at you, just walks past like you're part of the wallpaper. "Was that Grandma?" Nathan asks. You nod. "She's busy today." You try to keep your voice steady, but it sticks in your throat. You reach under the table, touching the small velvet box in your purse. The necklace is still there, still waiting, still unoffered. The ceremony starts. You clap politely. You don't cry. When they kiss, Nathan claps louder than any, and you almost believe for half a second that maybe things have changed, until the reception. When you return to your table, there's already a salad waiting. The greens are dry, the dressing congealing. You eat in silence while Nathan plays with the sugar packets beside his water glass. People glance at you, but no one speaks. You notice a woman across the room, someone you vaguely remember from church when you were a teenager. She sees you, then looks away. Your phone buzzes, a message from your landlord, rent due Monday. You lock the screen and set it face down. The music starts, the wine pours. You don't drink. Nathan whispers, "I think the chandelier looks like a spaceship." You smile, brushing his bangs back from his forehead. "You've got the best imagination," you say, but your chest aches. You feel the familiar pull, that tightrope between invisibility and humiliation. You sit straighter, smooth your dress, pretend not to hear your name, whispered near the head table. You remind yourself you're not here for them, you're here for closure. You tell yourself that even as Emily takes the mic for her toast, even as the room falls quiet in reverence, even as her voice, sweet as honey, begins to drip poison. "Thank you all for being here. It means the world to have so many friends and family celebrating this perfect day." You brace yourself. She speaks of love, of David, of fate and timing and shared laughter, and then with a sparkle in her voice, "And of course I want to take a moment to thank my sister Allison." Your breath catches. She said your name, not the wrong name, not Addison or Amanda, your name. Nathan turns towards you smiling. You don't know yet that it's a setup. Allison's been, well, let's just say an inspiration. A soft chuckle rolls through the room. You smile back polite, guarded. She's taught me what it means to be independent, resilient, and patient, especially when it comes to men. More laughter now, louder. I mean, raising a child alone, that takes grit. Or desperation, maybe both. Laughter spills over like wine on white cloth. You freeze. Your fork is suspended in midair. Nathan's smile vanishes. Then comes the blow. Honestly, it's impressive how she keeps showing up. I guess rejection builds character. The laughter turns jagged. Some people laugh with their mouths full. Some sip wine to cover it. But no one stops it. Nathan pulls at your sleeve. You look down at him. His eyes are wide, confused. He whispers, "Why did she say that about you?" You can't answer. You can barely breathe. Your mother laughs, loudest of all. "She's a used product," Linda says, loud enough to carry, but at least she still shines. You feel your face burn, like your skin isn't yours anymore, like it belongs to the room, to the joke. You press your napkin into your lap, fingers curling so tight your knuckles go white. You think, "Don't cry, not in front of Nathan, not here." You glance around, no one meets your eyes, not the woman from church, not the uncle who used to slip you dollar bills at Christmas, not even your grandfather. They all look away. You feel yourself shrinking, but Nathan's hand finds yours, and you know in that moment that you are done, done waiting, done enduring, done letting them define you by what they never tried to understand. You slide your chair back, one foot out the door, and then a sound, a different chair scraping, not yours, not Emily's, but David's. And when you turn, he's looking at you, not her. You don't know what he'll say, but you know, whatever it is, it won't be silence. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. David stands tall, his hand still resting on the edge of the head table. eyes locked on yours like he's trying to communicate something only the two of you will understand. The mic is in his other hand still, controlled. His tux fits perfectly, every strand of hair in place, but there's something unpolished in his expression now. Something raw. Emily turns toward him, a flicker of confusion tightening her perfect jawline. David, she says, uncertain, smiling the way someone does when they think they're being pulled into a joke. He doesn't answer her. He lifts the mic slowly, deliberately, and the room stills. Even the quartet in the corner stops mid-note. I can't pretend I'm okay with what just happened, he says. His voice is calm, not loud, but there's steel in it. You freeze. Your hand tightens around Nathan's. No one dares move. I've heard a lot about family this year, about unity, tradition, loyalty. But what I just witnessed, he pauses, that wasn't family. That was mockery dressed up in tulle and champagne. A gasp breaks from someone in the back. David doesn't flinch. He looks down at Emily now, not gently, not cruelly, just with the kind of clear-eyed disappointment that strips away every glittering illusion in the room. You mocked your sister, he says, a woman who's raised a child alone with more courage and dignity than most of people in this room will ever understand. You made her son watch it, you laughed, and you expected applause. Emily opens her mouth. No sound comes out. You called it humor, David continues, but I call it what it is, cruelty disguised as tradition, and I won't be part of it. Silence. Not shocked silence, not reverent silence, shame silence. You glance around. Someone's lowered their glass mid-sip. A woman dabs her eyes with the corner of her napkin. The DJ's hand hovers awkwardly near the controls, unsure whether this is part of the program. Linda, your mother, clears her throat, her voice sharp as ever. David, let's not ruin the evening. That was just a light-hearted toast. He cuts her off with a look. No words, just one glance. And for once, she doesn't speak again. He steps out from behind the table, walking toward your side of the room. Each step echoes, every eye follows. He stops just beside your table, table 9 near the bathrooms, the table meant to humiliate. He turns to face the crowd. Allison didn't ask to be part of tonight. She didn't volunteer to be a punchline. She showed up. She smiled. She brought her child to support her sister. He turns back to you now. And for the first time, his voice softens. You didn't deserve what happened. You feel Nathan shift beside you. He's staring up at David with something like awe, like he's seeing a real-life superhero in action. David kneels slightly to look at him. Your mom, he says gently, is the strongest person in this room. Don't forget that. Your throat tightens. You want to say something? Anything. But the words won't come. Not because you're afraid, because they're not needed. For once, someone else said them for you. David stands back up. His face hardens again as he turns to the crowd. I have seen enough. And with that, he walks away. Past Emily, whose face has crumbled into something unrecognizable. Past Linda, who looks like she just lost the last hand in a game she thought she invented. He walks out the door. No music, no applause. Just the distant creak of the door closing behind him. You remain seated for a moment, motionless. Everyone else seems frozen too. You glance at Nathan. His eyes are wide. Is the wedding over? He whispers. You rise slowly, brush invisible dust from your dress. Yeah, you say softly. I think it ended exactly how it needed to. You take Nathan's hand and begin to walk toward the exit. People part like waves. Some look away, some look like they want to say something, maybe sorry, maybe I didn't know, but no one says a word. Halfway to the door, you hear your name. Allison, you turn. Your grandfather Frank is standing shakily by his chair. His eyes rimmed red, his hands tremble. He walks toward you. Not fast, not proud, but steady. I should have stopped it, he says, voice low. Years ago, you nod. You don't speak, because you know the cost of silence better than anyone. You've paid it, and now you're done paying. The night air is crisp outside. Nathan squeezes your hand. You breathe deep, letting it fill your lungs, clear the smoke of the room. He asks, are we going home now? Yes, you say, smiling gently. We are. You don't look back. The necklace never left your purse. It was never meant for Emily, not really. You think maybe someday you'll give it to someone who knows how to see a gift and call it by its name. The drive home is silent, not heavy, just quiet, the kind that feels clean, like air after a storm. You keep your eyes on the road. Nathan's head leans against the window. The streetlights flicker past his face like slow-moving stars. You don't speak and he doesn't ask. It's as though the car has become a safe capsule, no questions allowed, no more answers needed. You pull into your usual spot, the one that always floods when it rains. You gather your purse, your phone, your dignity. Nathan reaches for your hand without a word. You walk into the apartment together. The kitchen still smells like the cinnamon toast you made that morning. The light over the sink buzzes faintly. The familiar imperfection of it all feels grounding. You set your purse on the counter, fingers lingering a moment too long on the clasp. The box is still inside. The necklace. You don't take it out. You tuck Nathan into bed without fuss. He's quiet processing. As you pull the blanket over him, he suddenly asks, "Do you think Uncle David is going to be okay?" The question catches you off guard, I think. "He already is," you say. "He was really brave," Nathan whispers. Then after a pause, like a knight, you brush the hair from his forehead. "Good night, brave boy. Night, brave mom." Your throat tightens again, but this time it's not from pain. It's something softer, something like grace. You close his door, stand in the hallway for a beat longer than necessary, just breathing. You don't turn on the TV. Don't scroll through your phone. You just sit. There's no one to call, no one to vent to. But for the first time in years, you don't feel the need to explain yourself. You survived the thing you never thought you'd have to relive, public humiliation at the hands of people who claim to be your own. And this time you didn't fold. You didn't shout. You didn't retaliate. You stood. You walked. You left. And someone unexpected stood with you. That means more than you can admit yet. In the morning, you wake to a string of missed calls, 3 from a number you don't recognize. One from your cousin Shelby, a text from an old coworker. "Girl, is that you in the video?" You sit up, click the link. It's already got over 50,000 views. The caption reads, "Groom stops wedding after bride, publicly mocks her sister, crowd silenced." You tap play. There's your face, blurred in the background, Nathan at your side holding your hand, and David clear, calm, resolute. The comment section floods your screen. "This man is a hero." I'm sobbing. She deserved better. Every single mom out there just got a little justice today. You scroll and scroll. There's no trace of the laughter now, just echoes of empathy from strangers you'll never meet. Your phone buzzes again. A message from someone named Claire tagged in a thread. "I don't know this woman, but I know this feeling. If you're reading this, you are seen. You are enough." You put the phone down slowly. Exhale. It's surreal how fast things shift, how humiliation turns into solidarity, how silence turns into noise when the right person dares to speak. Nathan tiptoes in still, in pajamas, rubbing his eyes. "Are they mad at Uncle David?" You shake your head. "No," you say. "They're listening now." He nods like that makes sense. Like, of course they are. Why wouldn't they? You make breakfast, not toast, but pancakes. His favorite. He eats 3 syrup, dripping from his chin, feet swinging under the table. "Do you think Aunt Emily will still get married?" he asks between bites. You pause, flipping another pancake. "I think she'll need to figure out who she is first. It's not bitter. It's not spiteful. It's just true." That afternoon, you take a walk, just the two of you. The sun is soft, the breeze light. You walk slowly without a destination. People pass by. No one knows your name. No one points. No one whispers. But you feel different. Not because of the video, not because the internet has opinions, but because you didn't shrink, because you held your son's hand and walked through a fire that tried to swallow you, and you stayed whole. You think back to that necklace, still tucked in your purse, still untouched. Maybe someday Nathan will give it to someone who listens, someone who lifts instead of laughs. But for now, it stays with you, where it belongs. 3 days later, the phone rings again. This time it's Linda, your mother. You let it go to voicemail. The message is 30 seconds long. You listen to it once just to confirm what you already know. "Allison, you've embarrassed the family. This spectacle, you could have just laughed it off. That's what adults do. I don't know why you've always needed to make everything about you." She hangs up without waiting for a response. You don't feel hurt. You don't even feel angry. You feel done. You delete the message. Nathan walks into the kitchen just as you press the button. You don't hide it. You've stopped hiding. He opens the fridge. Do we have strawberries? Only frozen ones. You reply, that's okay, he says. They still taste like strawberries. You smile, and for the first time in what feels like years, it's a full smile, one that reaches your chest and lingers in your spine. You're not pretending today. Later, while he's at school, you open your inbox. A few more messages have come in. One from someone named Rachel who writes, I watched that wedding video 6 times, not because of the drama, but because of you. You didn't say a word, and somehow you said everything. Thank you. Another from a woman in her 60s. My daughter showed me the clip. I've been estranged from my sister for 30 years. I just called her. We talked for the first time in a decade. You close the laptop and stare at the sunlight dancing through the window. How strange, you think, that a moment meant to humiliate you has become something bigger, something louder than all the cruel laughter in that room. You get up, open the closet, and pull out the dress, the one you wore to the wedding. You hold it up in front of the mirror. It's not stained, not ripped, but somehow it carries the weight of everything that happened. You fold it neatly and set it in the donation bag. Let someone else wear it to a new beginning. In the evening, Nathan helps you prep dinner. He insists on peeling the carrots even though they come out lopsided. You let him. You don't correct him. You're learning to let things be imperfect and beautiful at the same time. Uncle David's not coming back, huh? He asks casually, like it's just another thing to name. You pause. I don't think so, you say, honestly. I liked him. Me too. You want to tell him that sometimes people come into your life not to stay, but to stand, just for a moment, just long enough to prove that someone somewhere sees you. But he already seems to know. You both eat in peace. You don't check the video again. You don't need to. That night, while folding laundry, you find the necklace again. The chain is still silver, still delicate. But when you hold it now, it feels like armor. You run your fingers over the clasp you repaired months ago, the one no one noticed, the one you did in silence. A small voice in your head whispers, you always fix things quietly. And tonight you finally answer it, I don't have to anymore. You take the necklace and hang it by your bed, not as a memory, as a reminder. In the world of weddings and speeches and silk and spotlights, people like you aren't meant to be the center of anything. You're meant to smile politely, sit near the bathrooms, swallow your pain. But not this time. This time you left the room with your son and your dignity. And someone brave refused to let cruelty be the last word. That is what lingers, that is what lasts. And while Emily's photos disappear from her social media, replaced by sponsored content and curated brunches, your moment is untouched, unrehearsed, unapologetically real. Because this isn't just a story about humiliation, it's a story about choosing not to stay where you're not seen. And somewhere between the laughter and the silence, you chose yourself. You look in the mirror. The necklace catches the light, and for the first time in a long time, so do you. 6 months pass. You don't count the days, not exactly, but your body remembers the season, the way the air smelled that night, the way your heels sounded on marble, the way Nathan's small hand gripped yours when you stood to leave. You've changed in ways that don't always show up in photographs. You walk straighter now, not out of pride, but peace. You're not trying to be noticed anymore. And somehow, that's when people start to really see you. You've gone back to your usual routines, morning coffee, 2 jobs, Thursday night laundry. The apartment is still small, but you've rearranged the furniture. The sofa faces the window now. You like the light better that way. Nathan's growing fast. He doesn't talk about the wedding much, but once in a while, he'll mention it in passing, like it was something that happened in a book you both read long ago. Remember when Uncle David said, you were the bravest person in the room? I do, you say, and you mean it, because you've learned that the echo of kindness lasts longer than the sting of cruelty, especially when it comes unexpectedly. You haven't heard from Emily since. You weren't surprised. She deleted the wedding photos from her Instagram within a week. No announcement, no explanation, just a slow digital erasure of what was supposed to be her perfect day. You heard from a cousin later that she told people David overreacted, that people were too sensitive now, that she was just trying to keep it light. You didn't respond. You didn't need to. The truth has a way of standing without a spotlight. Linda, on the other hand, called again, just once. You let her speak for 30 seconds. Her voice was sharper than ever. All edge, no apology. You've always been dramatic, Allison. You think one man defending you makes you a martyr? You made a scene, you made a mess. You waited until she was finished. And then you said the one thing you'd rehearsed for years. I'm not your scapegoat anymore. You hung up. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't bitter, it was clean. Final, like snipping a loose thread that's been unraveling your whole life. Afterward, you stood by the kitchen window, watching a bird hop along the fire escape. Nothing grand, just quiet. That was when you knew the story no longer owned you. One evening, you come home to find a small package at your door. No return address, inside a bouquet of wildflowers, the same kind that once grew behind your childhood home. Ragged, bright, honest. Tucked into the stems is a card. No name. Just 3 words in careful handwriting. To the lioness. Your breath catches. Not from surprise, but from recognition. You don't need a signature. You already know. David never called, never emailed, never followed up. He didn't need to. What he gave you that night didn't require maintenance. It was a moment, a mark, a mirror. He showed you what it looks like when someone chooses to speak, when it's easier to stay silent. And somehow that helped you find your own voice. You placed the flowers on the table next to Nathan's school projects and your stack of library books. They don't look out of place, they belong. You belong. Later that night, Nathan brushes his teeth beside you. He watches you in the mirror, his face covered in toothpaste foam. Mom, he says, are you still sad about what Aunt Emily said? You pause toothbrush midair, then answer gently, not anymore. Why? He shrugs, because I think you won, even though it wasn't a fight. You look at his reflection, his small, serious eyes, his crooked front tooth, the kind of wisdom that doesn't come from books. You nod. I think you're right. And that's when it sinks in the full weight of it. You didn't yell, you didn't lash out, you didn't demand justice. You simply stood, held your son's hand, and walked away. And someone else, someone unexpected, chose to say, no, not today. In a world that rewards performance, you chose presence. In a room designed to shrink you, you remained whole. And now, without even realizing it, you've become the woman you once needed. Not loud, not perfect, just unshakably real. The kind of woman who doesn't wait to be invited to the table because she already knows her worth isn't up for debate. The kind of woman who doesn't wear armor because she's made peace with every scar. The kind of woman whose silence is no longer submission but strength. That's who Nathan sees now. That's who you see too. It's early spring now. You're sitting on the front steps with a cup of coffee, watching Nathan draw chalk galaxies on the sidewalk. He tells you this one's a planet with 3 moons, and that one's a star that can't die, even if people forget its name. You nod, sip your coffee, and let his imagination become your atmosphere. You've come to understand that healing doesn't arrive in fanfare, it unfolds in moments like this. Quiet, ordinary, and wholly yours. You check your email. There's a new message from someone you don't know. The subject line says, I was there that night. You hesitate for a second, then you click. Hi, Allison. You don't know me, but I was at table 4 at your sister's wedding. I didn't say anything. I wanted to, but I froze. I still feel ashamed of that. I've replayed that moment 100 times, wishing I had done something. Thank you for not shrinking. You help more people than you'll ever know. I just wanted to say that. I hope you're doing okay. Julia, you close the laptop, gently fingers resting on the lid. You feel no bitterness, no anger toward Julia, just understanding, because silence has its own price. You've paid it, so have others, and now maybe fewer people will. You glance at Nathan. He's talking to himself, narrating some kind of space battle between crayon-colored aliens. You smile. It's a real one, the kind that doesn't need to be seen to be felt. Your phone vibrates on the step beside you. A notification from the local parent group on Facebook. A new post is trending. Single mom speaks softly and walks out louder than any bride. Someone's shared the clip again. Another round of views, another wave of support. You used to feel overwhelmed by it all, strangers knowing your face, your story. Now you let it move through you like wind through leaves, not because it defines you, but because it helped reveal something that was always there. That morning at the cafe, your manager pulls you aside. "You're in that wedding video, aren't you?" she says, not unkindly. You nod. "That was something," she murmurs. "My sister called me after watching it. We hadn't spoken in 5 years. You don't say much. Just smile and tuck your apron on. Then you pour coffee for a line of strangers who don't know what you've lived and don't need to. And somehow that's the most powerful part. You walk home after your shift. The air smells like lilacs and pavement. You stop at a small thrift store on your street, browse the shelves aimlessly. A necklace catches your eye, not silver like the one in your drawer, but gold with a single pearl. You buy it, not because you need another one, because you can. At home, Nathan's drawn a new picture. This time it's not a galaxy. It's a woman standing tall, her hands glowing with a lime beside her. On the back, in crooked pencil letters, he's written, "My mom doesn't need a crown. You hang it on the fridge. Later, as you do laundry, your thoughts drift not to the past, but to what's next. You're not planning revenge. You're not waiting for redemption. You're living." You fold Nathan's shirts, stack towels, refill the soap, and in every action there's a quiet declaration: I am still here, I am still whole, and I am still enough. You remember standing in that wedding hall, hearing your name turned into a punchline. You remember the weight of your mother's laughter, the sting of your sister's smile, the way the floor didn't give way even though your world did. But you also remember the scrape of a chair and a voice saying, "Don't go." You think about David sometimes, not with longing, with gratitude. He didn't rescue you, he recognized you. That's rarer, that's louder than applause. You light a candle that night, for no reason except that it's Tuesday and you want the apartment to smell like eucalyptus and honey. You open the window, let in the breeze, and you write a letter, not to Emily, not to Linda, not even to David, to yourself. You don't overthink it, just write what comes. You were never the burden, you were the fire, you were never too much. They were simply too afraid to hold that much truth. You fold it, slide it into a book on your shelf. Maybe someday Nathan will find it, or maybe it'll stay hidden like all the strength you carried before the world gave you permission to show it. It's Sunday morning. The laundry is done. The apartment is clean in the way that means you've made peace with the things left undone. Nathan is still asleep, curled into his blanket like a small universe at rest. You sit by the window with your cup of tea, no rush, no list to conquer. The sun slants across the kitchen floor in golden lines, and for once you allow yourself the quiet. This is what peace feels like, not loud, not triumphant, just present. You reach for a notebook, not the one with bills and schedules, but the other one, the one where you've started writing things you once kept in your chest like sharp stones. You write, "When they tried to make me feel small, I didn't grow bigger. I grew rooted. So deep they couldn't see the strength anymore, but I could feel it." You pause, stare out the window. The plant on your sill, a gift from a neighbor, has bloomed overnight. A single yellow flower. You smile. You didn't expect it to survive the winter, but somehow it did. Funny how things bloom in silence. Later that day, you walk past the community board in your neighborhood library. There's a flyer up, Voices in the Silence open mic for women's stories. You stand there longer than you mean to. You think, what if I read it? That letter I wrote to myself, out loud, just once. You take a photo of the flyer, no promises, just maybe. When you pick Nathan up from a play date that evening, his friend's mom says, "I've been meaning to tell you my husband watched that video." "The one from the wedding," he cried. "He's a firefighter, hasn't cried in 10 years. You nod. You've learned not to brush those things off anymore. Because what happened that night, what David said, what you chose to do, it wasn't just a moment. It was a mirror, and you're no longer afraid to be looked at closely. Back at home, you and Nathan cook dinner together. He insists on mashed potatoes with the fancy salt. You let him mash them himself. It gets everywhere. You laugh anyway. After dinner, he curls up on the couch and says, "Tell me a story, one without princesses or dragons." You think for a moment. Then you say, "Once there was a woman who was never the favorite, not the golden child, not the loudest voice. She walked through rooms where her name was mispronounced, her value misjudged, her silence mistaken for weakness. But she had a secret." "What was it?" he whispers. "She knew who she was, even when no one else did." He leans his head against your arm. "Is that story true?" "Yes," you say, and kiss the top of his head. "It's still being written." That night after he's asleep, you sit at your desk, you open a blank page, title it The Day I Didn't Shrink. You write until your fingers ache. You write until every word feels like it was waiting to be freed. And when you're done, you press save. You don't post it, you don't print it, you just let it exist because the power wasn't in telling it, it was in surviving it. You light a final candle, fold the last of the clean laundry, and in the silence he left behind, you didn't just rebuild, you rose. Sometimes the most radical act is choosing not to shrink. In a world that teaches women to stay small, to laugh along, to swallow their worth. This story reminds us that dignity doesn't beg for applause. It just is quiet, steady, unshakable. If this moved you, I hope you'll take a moment to leave a comment, share your thoughts, and subscribe to Revenge Stories 94. It's not just about growing a channel, it's about building a community where these stories matter, where every view and every subscriber gives us the strength to keep creating meaningful, emotional content that speaks to real people like you. As the writer Anne Snin once said, and the time came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. Let this story be a reminder your silence is not your destiny, your story is not over, and you, yes, you deserve to rise.